Namaste, welcome, and aloha. Welcome to verse 1.1.5. Inquiry from the sages, the art of asking questions with humility. We have entered the sacred assembly at Naimisharanya. The sages have gathered, the stage is set. And now, in this verse, the questions begin, titled Inquiry from the Sages. This verse describes the moment when the great sages approach Suta Goswami to ask their questions. But notice how they ask. The manner of asking is as important as the questions themselves. Let us explore this art of inquiry. First, the verse in its original Sanskrit, the Ekdatu Munaya Pratarutagnaya, Satkritam Sutamasinam Paprachuridamatarat. Simple words, but they reveal so much about the proper attitude for receiving knowledge. Let us understand. Now, let us go through the raw form of English translation of the verse. The translation: One morning, after performing their fire sacrifices, the sages respectfully approached Suta Goswami, who was comfortably seated. With great reverence, they began to ask him the following questions. Every detail here is significant. Let us unpack what this verse teaches us. Now, let us look at some core teaching of this verse. This verse teaches us about the proper attitude for receiving knowledge. Notice the sequence of events. First, the sages performed their morning rituals, pratarhutagnaya. They offered fire sacrifices at dawn. They didn't rush to ask questions. They first completed their spiritual practices. They prepared themselves. Second, they approached Suta Goswami, who was asinam comfortably seated. They didn't interrupt him. They didn't demand his attention. They waited for the right moment. Third, they offered him respect. Satkritam, they honored him. Even though these were great sages themselves, learned, accomplished, spiritually advanced, they approached Suta with humility. And finally, they asked with reverence Adarat. Not casually, not arrogantly, not as if they already knew the answers, but with genuine respect and openness. This is the teaching. To receive knowledge, one must approach with preparation, timing, respect, and genuine humility. The quality of the question depends on the quality of the questioner. Now let us look at some modern scientific parallels. This ancient wisdom is validated by modern educational research. First, consider pedagogical research on effective learning. Studies consistently show that learning requires two things: a qualified teacher and a receptive student. The best teacher in the world cannot teach someone who is closed, arrogant, or disrespectful. The sages understood this. They made themselves receptive through their attitude. Second, consider research on growth mindset by psychologist Carol Dweck. People with a growth mindset believe they can learn and improve. They approach challenges with humility and openness. People with a fixed mindset believe their abilities are set. They approach learning defensively, trying to prove they already know. The sages demonstrated the ultimate growth mindset even though they were already learned. They approach Sutta with beginner's mind. Third, consider the Socratic method of learning through inquiry. The ancient Greek philosopher Socrates taught by asking and answering questions, not by lecturing, but by dialogue. The Bhagavatam follows the same method. It's presented as questions and answers. This format itself is a teaching method. Let us now move on to some practical application as it relates to this verse. How do we apply this teaching in our daily lives? First, approach teachers with respect and genuine curiosity, whether it's a spiritual teacher, a professor, a mentor, or even a YouTube tutorial. Approach with respect. Don't approach to show how much you know, approach to learn. Second, prepare yourself before asking. The sages completed their morning rituals first. They prepared their consciousness. Before you ask important questions, prepare yourself, reflect, consider, make yourself receptive. Third, ask meaningful questions. The sages didn't ask trivial questions. They asked about the essence of life, the purpose of existence, the path to liberation. When you have the opportunity to ask questions that matter. Fourth, create conditions conducive to learning. The sages waited until Suta was comfortably seated. They chose the right time and place. Don't try to have deep conversations in noisy, distracting environments. Create the right conditions. And finally, maintain humility regardless of your own knowledge. These were great sages. They could have been proud, but they approached with reverence. No matter how much you know, there's always more to learn. Maintain beginner's mind. Now let us look at how this verse can help our young people. For young people, here's something crucial to understand. In any field, sports, music, academics, gaming, business, the best students have one thing in common. They ask great questions and listen actively. Being teachable is a superpower. You might think that being smart means having all the answers, but actually, being smart means asking the right questions. The sages were brilliant and they asked questions. Don't be afraid to ask. Don't pretend you know when you don't. Don't let ego get in the way of learning. Approach teachers, mentors, and experts with genuine curiosity and respect. The person who asks with humility learns more than the person who pretends to know. This is how you accelerate your growth in any field. Now, let us look at how this verse can help our older generation folks. For those with more life experience, this verse offers a profound reminder. You have accumulated knowledge and experience over the years. You have wisdom that younger people don't yet have, but wisdom also recognizes that there's always more to learn. The sages in this verse were already accomplished. They had spent lifetimes in spiritual practice, and yet they approached Sutta with beginner's mind. This is true wisdom, knowing that you don't know everything. At this stage of life, you have the maturity to ask the deepest questions without ego. You're not trying to prove anything, you're not building a career, you're genuinely seeking truth. This is the perfect time to approach spiritual knowledge with the humility and reverence demonstrated by these sages. Ask the questions that matter, seek the answers that satisfy the soul. Maintain beginner's mind, regardless of your experience. In conclusion, we can say verse 1.1.5 of the Srimad Bhagavatam shows us the art of asking questions. The sages prepared themselves, they chose the right moment, they offered respect, they asked with reverence. This is how knowledge is received, not through arrogance or entitlement, but through humility and genuine openness. The questions are about to be asked, the answers are about to be given, and we are invited to listen with the same humility and reverence that the sages demonstrated. Let us prepare our hearts and minds to receive this knowledge. Thank you for exploring verse 1.1.5 with me. Thank you, Namaste and Mahalo, for joining me in this exploration of Canto 1, Chapter 1, verse 5. Inquiry from the sages, the art of asking questions with humility. Next, we will move on, sixth verse of Chapter 1 of Canto 1.